truth, it is a double-edged dagger. Plunge it repeatedly into the heart of lies over and over again. Don't worry about who's winning the fight. Just fight. Savage the enemy. Decide that they will fall, and they will fall. Own it. All right, if you just joined us, I still have ultra-massive news to get into. Supreme Court may revive a challenge. Well, they have revived a challenge, but they may overturn Obamacare on the First Amendment grounds. Oh, yeah, that's what I've been saying the entire time. I mean, it's so unconstitutional. It is anathema. It is 180 degrees, the opposite of the Bill of Rights and Constitution and freedom. I mean, I'm going to get to that later. Bev Harris coming up in 30 minutes. But listen, I've been beat up pretty bad by both sides. The mainstream media has basically implied that I think the world's going to end December 21st. I've never said that. I've always said it's a hoax. Others get mad and say, the Bureau, Planet X will kill us, this year. Really? I thought it was supposed to kill me in 2000 or whatever. And so we're going to your calls on this subject right now. Bryce in, where are you calling from, Bryce?
Hello.
Hey, buddy. Where are you calling me from?
Missouri. I guess they didn't put it down.
No, I'm just out of it today. Go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think it's a hoax. This is one of the subjects, of course, that's addressed in the movie that I recommended you to see. This is Bryce in Missouri, the panacea for humankind guy. But anyway, the point is, it's just like Y2K or any other apocalyptic end of the world scenario that people feed into it in some sick way. They want something like that to happen. I mean, if you think about all the films that are out there in the last, not even 20 years, but even beyond that, of this apocalyptic end that's going to come, and here we are faced with another scenario. It just puts people into fear, and it doesn't do anybody any good. The truth of the matter is that God's in control, and yeah, there's going to eventually be a human history as we know it ending, but not on our, wisdom or anything like that. This is something that we can't predict or tell, and this is why I was concerned about the rapture predicament, and how I think that the government could have staged some type of false flag in that, thinking that the end of the world's going to happen. So, my prayers, of course, are that the New World Order doesn't do anything irrational or anything like that during that time. But again, this is something that society keeps feeding, and it's been going back hundreds and thousands of years.
Well, that's right. The high priest would say, give me more political power, give me the nicest house, bring me offerings of food. Because, the little god, the little Kona tiki god isn't actually eating the offerings of food and virgins. Yeah, he is, the high priest and his little priest class are. And pretty soon, the warriors have to go into the priest class, or the sun won't come back. And that's basically what they do. They use solar eclipses and things to scare people. And now we see Al Gore doing the same thing today. Give me carbon taxes, give me control, or it's the end of the world if you don't do that. Very well said, sir.
Oh, yeah, thank you. No problem. Just by chance, did you ever check out the film or a little bit of it?
No, I didn't. I appreciate your call. I never got around to that. I think you've called like 4 times and gotten through to tell me about a film, and I just... that's kind of my problem, is that there's so much going on that I get to the point where I can't even keep track of any of it. I don't really go and see entertainment films much anymore. I don't really go out with friends anymore. I don't do anything, really, except play with my children a little bit and then research. Reality has totally taken my world over. And then I sit there and watch the whole fake reality go by like a train. Like I'm sitting there on the grass under a tree watching trains go by. And in a way, I guess I'm not in reality because I'm in reality. To be in reality, I have to be delusional and join in with people in the Matrix.
As we saw in Katrina, and as we are watching now in New York and New Jersey, the federal government can't and won't help you in a crisis. FEMA ran out of water and MREs in days. Electricity is still off to over 1 million people. The Red Cross, who is quick to beg for money, is now slow to react. Don't put it off any longer. Get prepared today. The InfoWars shop is the largest distributor of ProPure water filter systems. And now, get 15% off your ProPure order with the promo code WATER15. While you're on InfoWarsShop.com, check out these other great preparedness items. The Aquapod kit lets you store up to 65 gallons of water in your bathtub. The Pocket Socket provides you with manual electricity for small electronics like your cell phone. The Life Straw is great for your bug-out bag. And check out our complete line of Interfood products for great tasting and nutritionally dense foods that have a great shelf life. If you are looking to secure your home in a crisis, you can order Strategic Relocations, the film, a great companion to the book Strategic Relocations 3rd edition, and The Secure Home by Joel Skousen. When the time to perform arrives, the time to prepare has already passed. Get prepared now, so if a crisis strikes your home, you and your family will be secure. Go to InfoWarsShop.com and don't forget the promo code WATER15.
Now, I want to open the phones up for John and Brendan and Danang, I believe, and Mike and others here, because I want to spend some time over the next few weeks, you know, before the end of the world, December 21st, to talk about how that's a total hoax. Now, that's my perspective. I don't believe a Planet X is going to hit us or a comet or aliens are going to land. If you actually read the Mayan prophecy that I don't even put stock in to begin with, and I've been down to Chichen Itza, Akamal, Tulum, you know, more than 10 times in my life, because my parents loved to vacation down there when I was a kid mainly, but I've been back since, back with my family a few years ago. And I've gone, you know, to the extensive archaeological, you know, tour guide events, you know, the more in-depth ones. And all of those Mayan tour guides laugh and say, well, the prophecy says it's a new hearth or a new age, not the end of the world. And that is indeed what it says. Now, they have the full tablets if you do put stock in that. So it is a manufactured hoax put out by the globalists in the 60s and 70s. Just like they tell Christians it's always the rapture in 1989 or 2011. It's a cop-out, so people say, well, I'm not going to say no to kids having to wear microchips to, you know, buy and sell at school. Or I'm not going to say no to the TSA groping little children. I'm not going to say no to drones in the sky. I'm not going to say no to face scanning to buy and sell. I'm not going to say no to forced inoculations. I'm not going to say no to the announcement of world government that's biblical, because it's the rapture. And it's all just a giant cop-out. And it's also, Lenin, and then Stalin said it again in a different way, said that one person dies and the media can hype it up and make it a huge pageant and everybody will cry. But 10,000 die, it's a statistic, and they know that. You've got 50 million people, roughly, half of them children, starving to death or dying from malnutrition, dying from diseases that were caused by their malnutrition. Something like 30+ million die of starvation itself, half of those children, and then another 20 million or so from complications. You can look up the latest numbers for yourself. Some estimates are lower, some are higher, but it's 50 million. Boy, that's a pretty big deal. 50 million. Is that an issue? No, it's not. A lot of people say, oh, there are too many folks, let them die. Well, the point is that's going on. And you see all these dramas and shows and Discovery History Channel shows about the world after humans and end caps at the bookstore, the grocery store about it, and how great it'll be without humans, and, oh, we're going to merge with machines soon, and, oh, there won't be any humans anymore. The elite are going to get rid of us. That's in lots of magazines and publications now, and people read it and go, yeah, they're going to get rid of us soon. See, it's gone from I'm a kook to just, well, what's wrong with that? Humans are scum. You know, you can't deny we're scum. But for the New Agers in people, or I've seen the different polls out there, even people that are agnostics or atheists, they think something's going to happen next month. So they don't believe in God, but they think the world's going to end because somebody told them the Mayans said so. So it's a way to divert us from the real problems that are really going on. It is a total and complete scam. And it's also, though, a way to prepare people when there are mass plague releases that are meant to reduce the population down the road, decades from now probably, maybe sooner, but definitely in the cards. We're moving towards it here, not away from it. That it's a self-fulfilling race consciousness memory in the entire human race, expecting this. So that when it does happen, people expect it and get in line. So that is what the 2012 fraud, hoax, pantheon is all about in closing. It is a cop-out for people to not be involved and say, oh, it's the end of the world anyways. It's a nihilistic attitude. That's just the way it is. And so many nihilists are such cowards, they buy in to everything as the end of the world. But when they're dying of liver failure or they're dying of something, oh my God, they want it taken care of. They want to live longer. So it's a very insecure, childlike cop-out. And I'll tell Christians this. I'm not going to debate with you. Clearly, the beast makes war on the saints and overcomes them. Clearly, the rapture is after the devil is defeated. I mean, a 5-year-old could read the Bible and see that that's what it says. It's after Satan is thrown into the pit by the archangel, tied with the big chain. It's all clearly there, that God comes back, blows the trumpet, the dead in Christ, and then all of this. And it's an interpretation, but in the last 150 years, the big globalist-funded preachers have taught everybody it's always the end of the world. And German Christians didn't fight Hitler until later because they thought he was the Antichrist, the end of the world. Communists in Russia thought Lenin and Stalin were both Antichrist. Christians in Cambodia thought Pol Pot was the Antichrist. And there are many Antichrists. There's an Antichrist spirit, ladies and gentlemen. You've got to fight evil. And now they say 501c3 churches, render unto Caesar, do whatever government says it's ordained by God. Really, we're the government. The Declaration of Independence, Bill of Rights, Constitution is what we're supposed to follow. It's godly government if it's ordained by God and following that. But when government, I've seen preachers on TV say the Christians should have worshipped false idols and that they were sinning to be thrown to the lions. This is the teaching of devils. You'd get more truth going to a satanic church because at least they're being honest about what they stand for than one of these churches. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Because real Satanism, it doesn't have a picture of a hot blonde on the wall with some nerd with an egghead trying to act evil and scary. Some guy that if you caught him in an alley and pulled out a knife and showed them real evil, because good can flip on the real switch, would literally beg on their knees. They don't know what evil is. Evil comes to you as friendly and loving and going to protect you. It's going to keep you out of harm's way. You're not going to have to face any adversity. You're just going to have to give up your free will and join the collective, and everything will be all right. Satanists are children. They don't know anything about true evil. Let's go ahead and take a phone call. John in Texas, your take on 2012. Do you agree or disagree with me, or what would you like to add?
I just think it's a tough question, Alex, because the globalists have screwed the world up so bad. If they were to launch an attack on Iran before New Year's and it chain reacted into a World War III with nuclear weapons flying, it could be the end of the world. And with them patrolling with these weather weapons and stuff, I mean, it's hard to say.
Well, I think that is the only proviso that I did not make, and that I'm glad you raised, but I've made that point before. I'm just saying I agree with you, that they've got weather weapons. They've got so many other systems that they're so crazy that they possibly could detonate antimatter weapons, which they admitted to the San Francisco Chronicle they had about 7 years ago, and I've confirmed they've had for at least 20 years. They could destroy us with their fission fusion, cyclotrons, their heavy superconducting super colliders, their particle beam weapons, their experiments. Yeah, they could kill us anytime, and that'd be the end of it.
I had one real quick question, Alex, before I leave.
Yeah.
Dr. Strangelove, why don't you ever play that clip where Sterling Hayden goes into a rant about fluoride, how it was a communist plot? I thought that, you'd have that on there.
I asked for that, and I don't think I was clear with it. I said, get me the Dr. Strangelove clip where General Jack T. Ripper talks about fluoridating ice cream, Mandrake, children's ice cream. And I ended up getting the other clip, which is interesting. But, yeah, we should get that. We're going to start adding more movie clips to the show. That's actually something I've got planned in my journal right there that I'm going to try to launch in the next week. But, yes, sir, great points. Anything else?
It really was a communist plot, Alex.
I know. It's in, 2 Pulitzer Prize-winning books. Scherer's Rise and Fall of the Third Reich, and one other. It came out in the Nuremberg trials that during the split up of Poland by the Nazis and the Soviets, Nazis visited. This came out in the hearings. They visited Soviet gulags, and they noticed they were adding about 5 parts per million sodium fluoride to the water to make people docile, so the Nazis took it back. Yeah, no, it is a communist plot, yeah.
Because when I was just started reading newspapers in like 1959, when I was about 10 years old, when they just started that program, the newspapers were criticizing the John Birch Society because they were opposing it, saying, "Oh, those crazy John Birchers."
Well, exactly. But communism's only one floor. Guys, I'll grab it during the break. John P. Holdren's Eco-Science, it's a eugenics plot. They just want to make you communist so you're dependent on them, but there's a level above that and then another level above that. And, we live under a communist plot. I mean, look at it. We're by and large a communist country now with kind of a fascist gravy on top directed by eugenicists who are exempt from it all. Yeah.
Do you understand how dark it is? How far down the line we are? How late it is?
You know, I should do a whole report on this sometime, how secret societies really began in every civilization, why they develop the same, why they always end up in human sacrifice. And in summation, it's because control freaks gravitate into positions of power as scam artists, telling the tribe that they will make the crops grow, they will keep the marauders away, they will make the sun and moon come back from eclipses if the general population becomes their slaves. And that's what Al Gore does. I mean, they get on the news like you're a primitive, and they say, you see that hurricane? Doesn't matter if there have been more than 20 that bad or worse that have hit in the last 400 years on the East Coast that have flooded things out like that since the Spanish discovered this area. Discovered it for Europe. It was a discovery in Europe. It's kind of like if you didn't know the sun was outside, you walked out and discovered it was up there. It doesn't mean others don't know it's there. So I always get emails saying, Alex, you know, Europeans didn't discover America. It was here before. That's arguing how many angels can dance on the head of a pin. My point is, I don't know how people's brains work. Sometimes it just doesn't even matter. The issue here is that that's what Bloomberg says. He says, we need carbon taxes because of the hurricane. Pay the mega banks money, and they will save you from the hurricane. And then they say, pay more taxes, and government will save you from the hurricane. And government still, 3 weeks into the hurricane, isn't helping people. They're having to help themselves on the East Coast. Just an example. And that's what 2012 is. It's just government witch doctors saying it's the end of the world, so you don't bother to be involved because you think everything's over. And then that makes you basically dead inside because you believe you're already dead, which is just an example of how they want you to hate yourself, think you're bad, and think you're dead already, so you just stand down and basically aren't a real person while they control human development. That's what it's all about. Brendan in Wisconsin, thanks for holding. You're on the air.
Hey, Alex. We talked down in Chantilly at Bilderberg, and over Thanksgiving I showed some of my relatives in Indiana talked to them about some of the footage that we took with you and Aaron and Joe Bannister, Stuart Rhodes, and Abby Martin, others. And we actually made some headway around the Thanksgiving dinner tables and talking with some of the family elders about, they were bringing up some Christian points of family and unity, Thanksgiving and Christmas. And though I was not raised Christian, we all kind of came to agree that there is some sort of a spiritual warfare that is being conducted. And
sure, you can call it wavelength. I mean, they've proven that people know when someone's looking at them. They've proven that there is a sixth sense. They just don't understand it. So yes, there are unseen things going on.
And my sixth sense is very strong, and so when you talk about your spidey sense, I know exactly what you're talking about. I didn't go into that with them, but there's, I think, kind of a central philosophy meeting point where many of your former guests, like Alfred Adask, Alan Watt, David Icke, Jordan Maxwell, Fritz Springmeier, would all kind of agree with an author of a book that I think would complement the InfoWars store very well. I heard an interview with him, and I won't plug the other radio show.
I don't care, man. Just what's the book?
Okay. It's
so
called,
here's the deal. I'm going to put you on hold. We don't screen your calls unless we're having a particular topic and we go, hey, are you on topic? But I may just start screening them because people want to be screened. They want to be screened. And they want to get on air and have a call screening with me on air. And it's become one of my pet peeves. I'm not trying to be mean here. It just really is starting to punch my buttons. Just tell me the name of the book. I don't need a big build-up or provisos. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I won't. Then I don't even need to mention it, but the book does explore. Well, that's all right. It wasn't my point, actually. My point is that 9/11 as a mass occult ritual was kind of the point of the book.
Hold on a minute. I want the book plugged. See, look, here's the deal. I'm getting where I get really upset if things are totally illogical. You can call it neurotic, whatever you want. I don't understand. Am I a bad communicator? Because you come on and then you say, I don't want to plug something. And I go ahead. I want to know the name. What is it? Everyone listening does. And then you won't tell me. I appreciate your call. It's not meant to happen. Thank you very much for the call. I don't know what's going on with people, man. It's weird. Because I guarantee you wouldn't have given it to us. I mean, it's just like a dance thing. And I just won't. I guess we've got to implement crawl screening. Just because it's what they want. I mean, to really talk to him to see because he made a lot of good points, but the phones were open to talk about your take on 2012. My wife never calls me up hardly on air, but I guess she was listening, and she said, that guy was a huge fan. You were mean to him. So I apologize to the last caller. But at the same time, I'm like, what's the name of the book? No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to, offend you. And I'm like, you're not offending me. Just tell me the name. So it's not even that I'm mad at the last caller. I'm just so tired of people getting on air and going, is it okay if I talk about this? Is it okay if I talk about that? Man, you're on air. I know people lie and say that, we have fake phone callers and that you can't really call in. It's the opposite, folks. We have real phone callers. You can really call into this show. We got Bev Harris coming up here in just a moment, but let's go to Mike in California. Mike, on the 2012 topic, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Alex. Thanks for taking my call. I attended a preparedness seminar a couple months back, and they mentioned the great possibility of solar storms, which, like on InfoWars right now, there is that great article. So what interesting thing I heard was about the Mayan calendar and why they stopped creating it. Basically, the speaker was suggesting that the coming solar storm would be so strong that it changes the tilt of the Earth. So it's not that the end of the world as we know it is coming, it's that time will change as we know it. And which is why they stopped making the calendar, because it no longer fit into the timeline of the last few thousand years that they had predicted. And I guess with that, the statement, a new age and a new phase begins, is less scary. Just, be very prepared and don't be scared, right?
Well, exactly. What I'm saying is I don't think it's the end of the world. The Mayan prophecy is a new hearth. One fire is put out, a new fire is built, even if you put stock in that. But the globalists themselves, they are running around digging in like it's the end of the world. They are building bases. They're doing all this. But most of it is designed for what looks like a nuclear war with Russia, China, or both. Great points. I appreciate your call. Ask yourselves, what are you doing in this time of great challenge? What are you doing to unlock minds? Of the Bill of Rights and Constitution and freedom. I'm going to get to that later. Bev Harris coming up in 30 minutes. But listen, I've been beat up pretty bad by both sides. The mainstream media has basically implied that I think the world's going to end December 21st. I've never said that. I've always said it's a hoax. Others get mad and say, Nibiru, Planet X will kill us, this year. Really? I thought it was supposed to kill me in 2000 or whatever. And so we're going to your calls on this subject right now. Bryce where are you calling from, Bryce?
Hello?
Hey, buddy. Where are you calling me from?
Missouri. I guess they didn't put it down.
No, I'm just out of it today. Go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think it's a hoax. This is one of the subjects, of course, that's addressed in the movie that I recommended you to see. This is Bryce in Missouri, the panacea for humankind guy. But anyway, the point is, it's just like Y2K or any other apocalyptic end of the world scenario that people feed into it in some sick way. They want something like that to happen. I mean, if you think about all the films that are out there in the last, not even 20 years, but even beyond that, of this apocalyptic end that's going to come, and here we are faced with another scenario. It just puts people into fear, and it doesn't do anybody any good. The truth of the matter is that God's in control, and yeah, there's going to eventually be a human history as we know it ending, but not on our, wisdom or anything like that. This is something that we can't predict or tell, and this is why I was concerned about the rapture predicament, and how I think that the government could have staged some type of false flag in that, thinking that the end of the world's going to happen. So,
that very well said, sir.
Oh, yeah, thank you. No problem. Just by chance, did you ever check out the film or a little bit of it?
No, I didn't. I appreciate your call. I never got around to that. I think you've called like 4 times and gotten through to tell me about a film, and I just, that's kind of my problem, is that there's so much going on that I get to the point where I can't even keep track of any of it. I don't really go and see entertainment films much anymore. I don't really go out with friends anymore. I don't do anything, really, except play with my children a little bit and then research. Reality has totally taken my world over. And then I sit there and watch the whole fake reality go by like a train, like I'm sitting there on the grass under a tree watching trains go by. And in a way, I guess I'm not in reality because I'm in reality. To be in reality, I have to be delusional and join in with people in the Matrix.
Prayers, of course, are that the New World Order doesn't do anything irrational or anything like that during that time. But again, this is something that society keeps feeding, and it's been going back hundreds and thousands of years.
Well, that's right. The high priest would say, give me more political power, give me the nicest house, bring me offerings of food. Because, the little god, the little Kona tiki god, isn't actually eating the offerings of food and virgins. Yeah, he is, the high priest and his little priest class are. And pretty soon, the warriors have to go into the priest class, or the sun won't come back. And that's basically what they do. They use solar eclipses and things to scare people. And now we see Al Gore doing the same thing today. Give me carbon taxes, give me control, or it's the end of the world if you don't do that. Truth, it is a double-edged dagger. Plunge it repeatedly into the heart of lies over and over again. Don't worry about who's winning the fight. Just fight. Savage the enemy. Decide that they will fall, and they will fall. Own it. All right, if you just joined us, I still have ultra-massive news to get into. Supreme Court may revive a challenge. Well, they have revived a challenge, but they may overturn Obamacare on the First Amendment grounds. Oh, yeah, that's what I've been saying the entire time. I mean, it's so unconstitutional. It is anathema. It is 180 degrees. The opposite.